You're listening to the Cookbook Love Podcast with Maggie Green, episode number 367.
Welcome to the Cookbook Love Podcast, a podcast that celebrates cookbook readers, buyers, collectors, writers, and clubs. And now your host, cookbook author, culinary dietitian, and cookbook writing coach, Maggie Green.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Cookbook Love Podcast. How's everybody doing today? As always, hope you're doing well, and I am enjoying a quiet morning here inside my cookbook bunker. I actually have about a half hour before some workers show up to do some work on our garage door, and I thought I would take some time to record this episode for you because I have just finished enrolling new students in the most recent round of Cookbooks on KDP. And after having many conversations with aspiring cookbook authors, I want to talk today about something that I keep hearing over and over again. And it's the number one reason that successful cooks, bakers, dietitians, chefs, people give me for not joining this program. And the interesting thing about this is it's actually the same things that I might even tell myself for not doing something new, joining a new program, taking another opportunity. And it's the same thing that I hear a lot of people say when they're maybe thinking about another opportunity in their life. And on the surface, here's the things that we hear. We don't have enough time. We can't figure out the tech. I don't think anybody's going to care. I don't think I'm qualified. I need more money. I need more expertise. But those are all the surface things that we say. But underneath every single one of them, the root is the same, and it's called doubt. D-O-U-B-T, doubt, or self-doubt if you want to think about it as self-doubt. And self-doubt is so insidious because it doesn't show up shouting, telling us that we can't do the thing, we can't publish the book, we can't make it happen. It whispers and disguises itself as something that we start to think is perfectly reasonable. Well, if we can tell Maggie she doesn't have time, or if we can tell Maggie she's too old, or if we can tell Maggie she's not techie enough, or if we can tell Maggie that nobody's going to care, that who is she, that she's not as good as somebody else, that she doesn't have an audience, or that it's not going to turn out like she hopes it will. It whispers lies to us. So if you've ever thought one of those thoughts, you're not alone. I've thought of those too. My students have thought them, and even people who are thinking about joining a program like Cookbooks on KDP think them. In fact, every creative person who wants to do something in their life thinks these things and wrestles with this concept of self-doubt, even though you may not really realize that's what it is. But underneath all of these excuses, I think it's like a simmering pot of soup on the stove. And I like to call it doubt soup. And if you let that doubt bubble long enough, it flavors everything you think. It seeps into everything you want to try. It convinces you that even if you start, it will not work. And then what happens is because we don't think it's going to work, a lot of times we don't even start. It's dangerous. It stops us. It keeps us circling. It keeps us overthinking. It erodes our trust in ourselves and in other people. And when you're considering something as personal as writing a cookbook about your food, your family, your memories, your knowledge, the whispers get even louder. So I want to talk about this today because this really gets people all balled up. And I heard it over and over again, and in particular from one of my potential students who thought that in order to write this cookbook, she needed And if she wanted to talk about fresh food and cooking tips, she needed to be a registered dietitian. I also heard it from people that said that their recipes are just a mess. They got this messy pile of recipes. And so what that meant is that doubt showed up telling them that before you write a cookbook, you have to fix something. You need to do something else. You need to get those recipes in shape, or you need to get another certification. And the truth is that doubt will always tell you that you need something else to succeed. Money, time, support, organization. You need more knowledge. You need more expertise, more tech, bigger audience, more. That's how you know doubt is talking. So if you've ever heard your brain whisper to you something about you need more before you do such and such, that is doubt. But the anecdote to this, from what I have learned in my life writing cookbooks and helping people publish cookbooks, is you have to anchor what you want to do in something else. And the anchor is in what you already know, that food, cooking, nutrition, cookbooks, baking, chopping vegetables, sharing meals, sharing recipes, what you already know that those experiences can do. Because cookbooks aren't just about the recipes. Cookbooks and your success is about what those cookbooks and recipes do for other people. Meaning, helping someone cook a meal they never thought they could cook. Giving family a way to reconnect around a recipe that holds a memory. Supporting someone's health with food guidance that makes their daily life better, healthier. They maybe feel better. Bringing a sense of joy and ease and belonging to a person when you share a meal with them. And the way you already know that this is true is because you have lived it. And this is where cookbooks start to become such interesting studies, is because we all have different lives and we all have lived different things. And an example from my own life is, let's just take chicken soup. I know for a fact, through lived experience, what chicken soup does for people who are not feeling well. In fact, I currently have a little bit of a runny nose, a little bit of a scratchy throat. One of my sons in Chicago was kind of feeling the same way this week, and I suggested that he get some chicken soup, make some chicken soup, because we know what chicken soup does for people when they're not feeling good. And we also, it's kind of like if you talk to a Jewish grandmother, Jewish mother, they call it Jewish penicillin, we know what chicken soup can do. Let me give you a few more examples. We know what a birthday cake does for someone whose birthday it is. We know that. And if we experienced it as a child, or we experienced someone giving a cake to us, or we experienced the joy of baking a cake for someone else, we know what a birthday celebration does for people. We know what it feels like to share recipes. We know what it's like to receive a recipe from someone that was so great that we make it all the time. For example, the focaccia bread from Marcella Hazen's Essentials of a Classic Italian Cooking. I've kind of talked about that for the past few weeks. I know what it feels like to have that focaccia bread recipe that just was my go-to recipe for focaccia bread. And we also know what it's like to be on the giving end of those recipes to someone who treasures the recipe. I know what it's like to slow down and cook, to chop, to turn on my favorite podcast, to maybe pour a glass of sparkling water, to enjoy cooking. I know what it does for my soul. This is what I mean. When we can start to anchor into these things that we already know are true because we've lived it, doubt goes away. This is what it means to begin with the end in mind. There's a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, written by Stephen Covey, It's written a long time ago, but it's still so true. When we begin with the end in mind to overcome our doubt, we're not talking about the Amazon listing. We're not talking about the finished manuscript. We're not talking about the book proposal or the book deal or the agent or the publisher. The end is the lived experience and knowing that you already carry right now. You need no more of anything to know what a meal can do, what fresh food can do, what home-cooked meals can do, what cooking with other people can do, what slowing down to cook can do, what sharing recipes can do, what baking a lovely cake can do. You already know that. And all the cookbook authors that I have worked with, interviewed on this show, they might not have known it from the beginning. The self-doubt could have crept up for them, but they were able to overcome it, and they were able to tap into what they knew to be true also about recipes, food, cooking, baking, meals, sharing meals, celebrating birthdays, slowing down. We already know it because we have done it. We've cooked, we've baked, we've shared meals. We've had some failures, we've had some successes, we've had experience with food in our own life. So when this doubt starts to creep in, saying you need more experience, you need more time, you need more money, you need more of something to write a cookbook, you have to remember this. You don't need more of anything. Go to the end of the story and say, I am the one who already knows what food and cooking and nutrition and fresh food and lovely cakes and sharing recipes and enjoying good food together with people can do, because it has done it for me in my life, here in my home, with my family, over and over and over again. And you see, this takes sharing recipes and stories in a cookbook out of credentials. It's not about our audience. It's not about perfection. It's not about tech. It's not about time. It's not about money. It's about knowing with the anchor about, in my own life, food has done this for me. So I want to help make this real for you, because if you're thinking about anything, doing something new, maybe writing a cookbook, I want you to think about memories and experiences in your own life related to food, cooking, eating better, nutrition, sharing meals, receiving good meals, the power of food for healing, for having fun, for learning, the power of cooking, growing your own herbs, growing your own tomatoes. What are the moments in your life when food did something bigger for you than just food in your mouth and swallowing it? Maybe it's when you delivered soup to a neighbor who was sick. Maybe someone brought you something when you were sick. I can specifically remember, before I even had children, I have a medical procedure done, and I was working full time at the time, and I recuperated on the couch, and the doorbell rang, and my best friend from work was standing at the door with a pack of M&Ms, which is my very favorite thing, and a casserole that she had made. I will never forget the power of that act of kindness, ever. What about pies, cakes, something that related to maybe a generation of people who came before you? Grandmothers, aunts, grandfathers, uncles, people who loved to cook, and the memories that you have with that. I could go on and on and on about memories I have of my own mother. I have memories of my father trying to cook and follow recipes. I have memories with my grandmother, my two aunts. I have memories of relatives coming from Germany and teaching my mother how to make Wiener Schnitzel. Tons and tons of really positive food memories that no one can ever take away from me. And I know the power of learning how to crunch saltine crackers to coat the Wiener Schnitzel so it's nice and crunchy. Maybe it's memories of experiences in your own kitchen with your own family and things that really move the needle for them. The smell of garlic in our house, whenever I did that, always brought my kids out of their room, what are you cooking? Of course, baking cookies is a popular example. Maybe it's recipes that you've given to people that people keep asking for over and over again, or that you hear people saying, yeah, I made your recipe and it works for me every time, and it really makes me feel like a successful cook. I kind of talked about that last week related to the Thanksgiving dinner. So start with this exercise of thinking about these things from your own life, because what happens is my experience of food, cooking, meals, and sharing is completely different than yours, and yours is completely different than the next person. And this end knowing that we all have is what makes our books so unique. So start with the sentence, I know what blank can do. And just to use a food word, noodle on that for a while. Give yourself some time to think about it. Don't overthink it. Don't say, I'll do it when I have more time. Don't say it when I'll have more energy, when I have a cleaner desk, because that, again, is doubt creeping in, saying you can't even do this exercise, which isn't true. These things are your anchors, and knowing what your anchors are is the antidote to any doubt that you will ever have about, let's just say, writing a cookbook or getting publishing a cookbook. And in Cookbooks on KDP, what I teach is a way that we can all become published authors through technology that is readily available right now for every single person that has a computer or access to something that's online. And aren't we lucky to have that availability and to be able to use tools like this that make publishing so much easier? So let's wrap this all up. First of all, I think self-doubt is so sneaky. It doesn't come barging in. It comes in disguised as what we think are reasonable excuses. And the way you know it's doubt is because it's going to tell you you need something else before you can succeed. And again, I've heard everybody say all the same things, and it's the very same things I probably say, and doubt tells me to say when I embark on something new. Typically relates to time, it relates to money, it relates to experience, it relates to writing, it relates to we need more of something else. We need more education, more experience, more time, more money, that we're missing something, we're lacking something. And the anecdote isn't more credentials. The anecdote is not more time. It's not more money. It's beginning with the end in mind. And the end is what you already know to be true about what food, cooking, fresh food, baking, birthday celebrations, Thanksgiving dinners, memories with family. What has that done for you and your life? That is all you need to move forward. And then we take one step at a time toward becoming a cookbook author who knows in his or her heart the power of what food has done in your life. So in Cookbooks on KDP, that's the heart of what I do. And it's actually the heart of what I teach people and get paid to get published also, which is my traditional publishing program. We're not just collecting recipes. We're anchoring everything we do in what we already know to be true. And this allows us to publish from a place of helping people, a place of generously sharing what we know to be true, and of trusting that we have everything it takes to become published cookbook authors. I think doubt is like a fog. And I think doubt is something that is going to stop us from being the cookbook authors that we want to be. And it's going to stop us from changing the world with cookbooks. So the next time doubt comes rolling in on you, especially if you hear you need something more, just remember that your strength is in what you know to be true. And if you're ready to take the next step, you can join the waitlist for the next group of cookbooks on KDP. I'll put a link in the show notes. And I want to thank you all for tuning in today. To all my loyal listeners, I love you all so much. It's so good to be here and talk with you. And hopefully we'll be back next week with an interview. I had a couple of people who had colds this past week, a couple of interview cancellations, but it's really great because it gave me the opportunity to explore this topic and to really see how it shows up in my life, how it shows up in the lives of people who want to write cookbooks. And I just want you to know that you're not alone if you're feeling that way too. So that's it for today's episode of the Cookbook Love Podcast. This is your host, Maggie Green. And until next time, have a great day and keep loving your cookbooks.
Thanks for listening to the Cookbook Love Podcast. You can find out more information at www.cookbooklove.co.